Hey, what is up, guys? This is Cache Freak Tim from CacheFreak.com, and today we are talking about going paperless with the Amazon Kindle. So why do we want to go paperless? Now, we've talked about this in other videos, but to reiterate, we basically want to go paperless because whenever you go out caching in the field, if you don't have a new GPS, if you have an older GPS that doesn't have paperless capability, it means you either have to print out your descriptions, your hints, your logs, all that good stuff onto paper, or you have to carry some digital device with you out in the field whenever you go geocaching that holds that data. And I think the Amazon Kindle is a perfect candidate for this. It really does a great job, and they're fairly inexpensive, and if you also need a book reader, they're excellent for that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you two different methods to go paperless with the Kindle. One is going to be where you use the web browser, and the second is going to be where we actually load the data on the Kindle itself. Both methods do an excellent job. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of both, and we'll go from there. So let's get started. So the first tip I'm going to show you is how to actually use the web browser to view the geocaches. Now, to do that, we're going to hop over to the Kindle and I'll show you how it works. Alright, now here we are with our Kindle. As you can see, I'm using the second generation Kindle here. I also assume this method will work on the first and third generation Kindles, and I also believe it'll also work on the Nook. I haven't personally tested it, but I know the Nook, especially the new one, does have a web browser built into it, so this method should work on that as well. I'll clarify next time. If I can get my hands on one, I'll post in the comments whether I got this to work or not. But I believe this should work definitely on any of the Kindles as well as any of the Nooks. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to use the Kindle to view the geocaching data on the geocaching website with the web browser. And it's fairly easy to do. Depending on your model, you may have to go into the menu, and I know for mine I have to go down to experimental. And then right here, basic web launch browser. I'm going to click on that, and that is going to take me to all of the bookmarks that are saved into the Kindle to begin with. Now what you're going to do is you are going to go to menu. We're going to go to enter URL. Now, going to the regular geocaching.com website is not going to work here. The geocaching website, the one you go to every day on your computer, it has a lot of graphics. It uses a lot of technology like Java, JavaScript, Flash, all those kind of things. The web browser in the Kindle does not handle all those modern technologies, so you're not going to be able to use it. But there is a very scaled down version of the geocaching site that you can get to using the Kindle. And the URL for that is wap.geocaching.com. So I'm going to type that in there. I'm going to hit return. And that's going to take me to this site. Now, as you can see, this site here, this wap.geocaching.com, it is extremely basic. It's about as basic as you can get. In fact, this site will probably load on any cell phone that you have that has internet access. It's strictly text-based. It only shows a couple graphics, but this is the site you can use to get to access all of your geocaching data. You can log into this site with your geocaching username and password, or you can just use it without logging in. But just to give you a basic synopsis of how this works, you can go into Find Caches. The browser isn't very fast, so it does take a second to load each page. Let's just search by zip code real quick to give you an idea how this works. I'm going to type in zip code. We're going to go to search caches. And there we go, just as if we were searching on the geocaching.com website, it's going to show us all the caches. Now, as you can see, like I said, it's extremely basic, but it does give you the information you need to know, which is the distance away from that zip code we typed in, gives us the name, gives us the difficulty, the terrain, and what type of cache it is. So all the important information is right there. You can select any cache, Click on it, and it will load the description page just as if you were on geocaching.com. Again, not as graphical or as pretty as it would be on a modern web browser on your computer, but it gets the job done. You can go through here, you can read the description. It's also going to give you the hint. You can go to Get Hint. Gives you the hint. I'm going to go back. Also gives you logs. As you can see, it'll show you if people recently found it, didn't find it, gives you their comments. In addition to the description, the hints, the logs, it also shows you a Google map of the location of the cache. So we're going to click on that. And again, you can see it's an extremely basic map, but again, better than no map at all. And this is all built into the web browser itself. As you can see how well it works. It's extremely basic, but it's going to give you the information you need to know. Now, let's hop back to the computer. We'll tell you some of the advantages, disadvantages, and I'll show you the other method of doing paperless with the Kindle as well. Alright, so that was method number 1 of going paperless with the Kindle. Now, its advantage is pretty obvious. It is live information. Whenever you are doing a search for your geocaches, that is the current data. It is actually going on the internet to find that data. That means you get any brand new caches that were created within the last few days. You know, maybe if you were to run a pocket query, you're only going to get the data since that pocket query. So being able to search live, much as you would with a device like the iPhone or any of the Android phones, you know, that's a huge advantage. So that's probably my favorite part of being able to use the web browser for the Kindle. So the disadvantage of this method is fairly obvious. Because it's accessing the internet, you have to be connected to the internet with the Kindle for that method to work. So what that means is if you have a Wi-Fi only Kindle, the more inexpensive Kindles, you have to be within the vicinity of a Wi-Fi hotspot, like at your home, at a Starbucks, at a McDonald's, next to a library. There's a lot of places that have Wi-Fi, but if you have a Wi-Fi only Kindle, to do that first method, you have to be next to a Wi-Fi hotspot. This will also work if your cell phone does tethering, where it will basically use your cell phone to distribute Wi-Fi out. You could then share that to the Kindle. So that will work, but again, the downside is you have to be connected to the internet, and the Wi-Fi only Kindles can only connect to the internet whenever you're next to a Wi-Fi hotspot. Now the Kindle I have is 3G. What that means is your Kindle gets free internet access, and I want to be very clear about that. 100% free internet access from the cell towers, as long as your 3G Kindle is within the area of a cell tower. So as long as you can get cell phone coverage for wherever you're going to be, you can use a 3G Kindle and it will give you free internet access. I don't know how that works. I assume Amazon has some deal worked out with AT&T where they allow the Kindles to have the free internet access. There's no fees, there's nothing you have to pay beyond just the standard price of the Kindle itself. So that's really cool. I mean, that's a huge bargain. The 3G version of the Kindle does cost more. It costs about $30-40 more. If you haven't bought one already, I highly recommend getting the 3G version of the Kindle, just in case. You never know when you might want to use the 3G data. There is no fees, so I say go for the 3G version if you haven't bought one yet. So that covers the first method of going paperless with the Kindle. Again, uses the web browser, uses internet access, whether it be on Wi-Fi or if you have the 3G Kindle, 3G from the cell towers to get you access to the paperless data. But let's say that first method, that's not going to work for you. Maybe you do have a Wi-Fi only Kindle and you're going to be in the middle of nowhere where there isn't Wi-Fi, or maybe you do have a 3G Kindle, but again, maybe you're in the middle of nowhere where there's no 3G cell coverage. You know, you need a second method where you can actually load the geocaches onto the Kindle and use it just in case you're in the middle of nowhere with no access at all. So the second method It's a little more in depth. There's some things we need to do on the computer first to get it working. As you can see here, I am in GSAC, the Geocaching Swiss Army Knife. If you're not familiar with GSAC, you can go back and watch some of our earlier videos. We covered GSAC pretty in depth. So I'm going to assume you guys know the basics of GSAC, how to import a pocket query, how to get your caches into GSAC. And what we're going to do is method 2 for going paperless with the Kindle. We're going to use a GSAC macro to load that information onto the Kindle. So to do that, what you're going to need to do is you're going to head on over to the GSAC macro library. Again, if you don't know where that is, it's at gsac.net/board/macroindex.php. Once you get there, you're going to search for Mobi, M-O-B-I, hit enter. There's going to be a few different listed, but the one we want is the one at the top there. We're going to click on it, and it gives you the basic instructions for what you need. To use this, you're going to need GSAC, which again you should already have installed on your computer. If you don't, go download it. There's a free version. You're going to need something called mobigen.exe, and there is a link for it right here. Again, another freebie. Click it, unzip it, install it. You want to install that file in C:\mobigen, put it in that folder, and from there you can scroll to the bottom of that page to get the latest version. If you can click that, it will automatically install into GSAC. And once you have both Mobigen and you get the macro installed, you are ready to go to use the macro to install the information on your Kindle. So to use it, again, if you're not familiar with how to use pocket queries in GSAC, you're going to go to macro, you're going to go to run/manage. It will bring up the list of all the macros you have installed. Again, ours is called mobi.gsk. We are going to click on run. It's going to have us name the ebook, because that's what it's going to do. It's basically going to create an ebook with all our geocaches, so it's just asking us for a name. I'm just going to call it geocaches. You can call it whatever you want. You can also include images for user notes. You can do that. It's going to ask you what location you want to use, as basically whenever it brings up the list of caches, it's going to show how far it is away from a certain distance. So you want to pick your location. Again, in our past videos we showed how to put locations into GSAC. If you're not familiar, go back and watch some of our earlier videos, and you can select the home location or the location for where you want to be the geocaches be based out of here. And you also want to pick a location for where you want that ebook to be saved. So I'm just going to have it saved to my desktop. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to click on Create File. The macro will start. Now, this macro takes a while. I know I am running it on a pocket query of 500 geocaches. The first time I ran this thing, it took like 20-30 minutes. Let it go, let it do what it needs to do. Also, if you get any errors at any point, just click past them. Click OK or ignore or whatever option comes up. Every once in a while, I'll get an error when I run this macro, and I just click OK past it, and everything works fine. So if you get an error saying something crashed or something's not working, just click past it. It'll work just fine. So from this point, let the macro do what it needs to do, and we will be good to go. So once your macro is finished running, you're going to get this little message right here that says macro complete. You can go ahead and click OK on it. From this point, we're going to minimize GSAC. Now we're at my desktop where we actually saved that geocache ebook to. And as you can see, if you remember, I called it geocaches.mobi. All you have to do at that point is plug your Kindle into your computer, navigate to your Kindle, and then you're going to go into the Kindle's Documents folder. And then all you're going to do is take that file, drag and drop it into that location. It'll put itself on the Kindle fairly quickly, and at that point you are good to go. So let's hop back to our Kindle and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here we are back at our Kindle. All we need to do is scroll down till you get to the book called Geocaches. Select it, And here we are. We are in, it's basically an ebook that GSAC macro created that has all of our paperless data in it. And this works almost identical to the web version that I showed you earlier. It works very similar. You can use the arrow keys and you can move down. And these are links. It works almost just like a web page. So we can scroll down till we get to, we can search by anything. We'll search by distance. That's what we did the first time around. And it'll show us all the geocaches that were in our pocket query. So again, we'll scroll down. We're going to arrow over to this geocache right here. We're going to select it. And there it is. There is all of our paperless data. Now it pulled this information right from the pocket query itself, and it basically created an ebook to look just like, almost like a web page. It has almost the same exact information as the first method we showed you earlier. The only difference is this method does not require you to be connected to the internet to use. And just like the other method, you've got your descriptions, you've got your hints, you've got your logs. It shows nearby caches. It also will show you pictures if you did select that checkbox during the creation. So as you can see, it does a lot of the exact same thing as that first method. Both options work very well. Between the two, I like the version that uses the internet a little bit better because it does show you live, up-to-the-date information, whereas this is only going to show you the information from your last pocket query. So use whatever the method you feel comfortable with, and I hope you guys really got something out of this tutorial. I hope it helps you out when you guys are out geocaching out there in the field. Like I said, these Kindles are fairly inexpensive. You can get the basic Wi-Fi versions now for $100. The 3G versions, like I said, are about $30 or $40 more, maybe even a little more at this point. But if you haven't bought one, like I said, go for the 3G version if you have the option. And if you have the Wi-Fi, this method will work just as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any other comments, questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section, and feel free to also visit my website cachefreak.com. And until next time, I will talk to you guys later.